Looks like I'm gonna have to start replacing this. This was flickering a minute ago. Yeah, it stopped flickering now, but still, I just lost a bunch of globes in there. It must come in like, group sections and the circuit's broken. Look, that flickering is gonna piss me off. I do have a couple more of those light beams, but I have to, oh, it's not gonna take that long. Just need a screwdriver and just put some electricity through it. Okay, so I've just been watching the back of my neck in this reading people's comments video. It's probably worthwhile to make that. But I mean, I can see there's room for misinterpretation in some of my analyses of what I'd said about what people were writing. Like I said that people will watch a whole video of me complaining that something doesn't look realistic, and then they'll type, that doesn't look realistic. But I mean, I think I can gauge when somebody writes a comment that's just in an agreement with me, as opposed to somebody who just ignored the video, skips to the end, looks at it and goes, that's not very realistic. Instead of just, because they didn't acknowledge that that's what I was saying. And I'm pretty sure I'm right, that a lot of people do just skip to the end and go, yeah, okay, bad, 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 and now end result bad as well. Fuck, this is useless. Stupid information, useless. It looks like shit. That's, my objective is not to go on a journey from ugliness and then just by the end look like fucking Jesus or something. Anyway, I look fucking terrible right now. So I'm gonna start by getting rid of this shit on the back of my neck. Why are you loud all of a sudden? You used to be quiet. Oh. Oh. Now I'm ready to start the day. I'll get rid of this shit and everything. It's just, I have a plan. This hairpiece here is the front half of curvehairpiece.com's hairpiece they gave me. It's quite bulky at some points, and so I used thinning scissors to get it to stick down a bit. I thought that's fine because it's just for one day, and then I'll have this amazing new injection hairpiece, which, as you might have seen, fucked up. Oh, shit. So I threw it in the bin after wearing it for an hour. Now I've got a box of a year's supply, basically, of about, I don't know, 11 more of these things. These are the 0.06 millimeter replacement pieces that Lord Hair sent me because they ran out of wait, I can't tell which is which. Maybe that's the curve hairpiece one, and that's the Lord Hair one, because it's very different color, isn't it? Yeah, that's more like the color at the front here, the one that I've got on now. Whereas this one's darker. So this must be the back half of the piece that I'm wearing right now. And this was what I needed, because what I want to do, just got to double check, yeah, see, all these other Lord Hair pieces that the year supply, they're sort of in quarantine because I didn't like them, because, you know, the density is too low, and I found it very difficult to get rid of those cornfield lines. Anyway, I don't want to wear one of those just yet, but I do want to get rid of this. There were two things that stood out to me in that watching myself. The good thing about watching yourself on camera is you get to see yourself from multiple angles, where a mirror doesn't give you much perspective at all. I would love to have multiple mirrors that I can swing around and just... I was thinking about starting a business that would just do mirrors. Mirrors that had built-in cameras and stuff, so it had a built-in screen, you could see yourself from the back and all that sort of stuff. Proper lighting all around you. Mirrors really have not evolved much in the last 1,000 years. About time they had an upgrade. Same with letterboxes. Can't receive parcels. Alright. So what I'm going to do is take this piece, medium density, 0.03 millimeter, color number 4, they say, but it seems like color number 5 really, which is lighter than color number 4. And I can verify that it is actually color number 4 because it says hashtag 4, or 4 hashtag, which is the wrong way around. But they're Asian, so I don't know. 8x10, I don't even know what they're talking about with 8x10. It's round, isn't it? So what they're talking about, the maximum length in this direction is 10, and the maximum direction this way is 8 inches. Well, I mean, I know, that is exactly what they're talking about. But I don't know if it's like, if you had to stretch it out, I reckon if you use clothing measuring tape, it would bend around to be internally 8 maximum, including the entire, not circumference if it's not a full circle, but fuck it. Following the curve, not as the crow flies. Where's the stuff? All right, I need this and this. I'll put this glove on. I'll stir this. How is it still wet? I guess it's been sitting in a puddle. I mean, it dried because the last time I used this was weeks ago. And then I will use my base shield as well. My theory is this, right? This is not blonde, it's this color. Whatever you call that. Color number 5, let's say. But it's been bleached, the hairline. This one has as well. So when I add this dark brown, it might be too dark, I don't know. But I won't have to get right down to the roots. I'm not going to splash anything on the base. Hopefully I'll be very careful using the base shield as well. But this could be the ultimate solution, who knows? I mean, I'm striking it off like it's not going to be the absolute major one, otherwise I should be excited, right? Because I'm about to uncover the secret to creating the perfect hairpiece. Nobody's ever seen a better root system or color matching. Not that this is exactly my hair color, I don't think. But yeah, as people have said, start with a light brown, then dye it from an inch up, which seemed reasonable except for the fact that you can still see cornfield lines when it's, you know, medium brown rather than medium dark brown. But I think in combination with the front hairline having been already bleached, so bleaching and dyeing, that seems like a lot of work, but it could be the ultimate way to get things done, given companies do not do any work on making things look realistic. They just sell you what they've got. So I'll set up a camera down here so you can have a look at what's going on. Step 1, wet this thing and brush it. Step 2, thread it through the base shield. Step 3. Chuck a bit of 3% developer, also called 10 volt developer, into a little bowl. And mix it with dark brown dye at a ratio of 1:1. Step 4, smother the side of the hairpiece that is not the base with this developer without letting it drip through to the other side. You really don't need to use that much of this stuff comparatively to how much comes in the packet. Especially that developer stuff that lasts for ages. Look how big that bottle is. I can do heaps of hair pieces with the amount I've got here. So just really hoping it doesn't go through to the other side. If there's any drips on that, that's fucked, right? Now this is probably fluctuating between 1 centimeter and 2 inches away from the base, but that'll do. Now, just to let you people at home know, I did have this brush, but logic tells me what I just did could not be improved with the use of this brush. So I trusted logic and not the commenters. All right. Now I'm gonna leave that there for half an hour. It's only been dyeing for 20 minutes, but I think I'm gonna stop it because it was already brown. So no point in making it black. And I don't want a big rough line where it starts and ends either. Maybe there's no color coming out of this really. And on there's no color. Yeah, and that's going to take a long time to print again. If this is a good device, I don't want to be losing this spiky thing. I might have to reprint another one. This was all step 5, by the way. Rinse it out, brush it. Now I'm going to stick it on my head. So I've dyed this, brushed it, rinsed it, put conditioner in it. But of course, what I could have done instead is just purchased a darker hairpiece. This does say it was color number 4, but look at the color number 4 here. It's not close, right? It's too light. It looks blondish, right? So I've dyed this. It's an unnecessary step. I shouldn't have had to do that. If I'd started with a darker hairpiece that matched me better, I would have simply had to bleach the front hairline. Instead, this has been bleached at the front hairline, and now I've gone and dyed it because this didn't match, and I don't want to be wearing one of the shitty hairpieces, which is just very low density. This has got the thicker density from Curve hairpiece, so I'm basically fixing it. I don't know that whatever this is, 4M, chocolate mocha sort of thing, dark brown mocha it's called, from So Color, 20 minutes worth of dye. I don't know if that'll match my hair properly, but even looking at it wet, you can imagine my hair would be about that color when wet. But wet is cheating. It's got to be both. They've both got to be dry. This one is too light, obviously. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put glue on the back of this, so pre-glue this hairpiece. And I'll be using the full strength glue to do that because the 50% mix, the tincture, it didn't dry properly. I use this on the front hairline, which is beautiful. It's the same as Devlin Green basically. It's even better than Devlin Green. If you consider Walker Tape Ultra Hold to be like concentrate because it's really thick. I mean, look at the speed of that bubble. It's not exactly an old QB drive. We're forging us towards the stars by bending space-time. Very slow bubble. So I don't think you can universally say we traveled at the speed of bubble. It's not a scientific unit of measurement. Therefore, this will only be used for the front hairline, this tincture, and this one will be used to pre-glue the base because I can depend on it. It'll be glued all the way back there, except the front. The reason I don't do the front when I pre-glue is because when I'm smooching it around to get it into position, I don't want glue to be left all around the forehead. So by leaving that front centimeter not covered in glue, I give myself some leeway. Of course, there is a chance of getting glues back in these hairs up here, but it doesn't generally seem to be a major problem compared to, you know, the forehead getting glue all over it. Yeah, this is broken. It's too dangerous to use that ever again. It'll get dye and things, so I better chuck it out. In the meantime, I'm printing another one. Okay, step 6, stick this thing to your head. Now this has been pre-glued. I tried my best not to get any glue around the edges, but there is a bit of glue just there. Just gonna pick that off. Might seem fine when it's dry, but it will eventually melt into this area back up here. I don't want that, but the rest is good. It's very clean. It's going to be different in a second though because I'm going to smoosh it around. Now, like I said, I did not use the tincture, the 50% alcohol to do the base because as you saw in a previous video, the glue was not thick enough. I needed to have more viscosity basically. In other words, it was peeling off, whereas this is not really peeling off too much. Thought it would be more dry than that by now, but still, it's fairly dry. Okay, so this will just be for the use of the hairline. It's really just occurred to me in the last few days that it should be fine actually to think about applying different adhesion material, different adhesives to the prominence and the hairline. So for the hairline, I would say this is the best I've ever seen. 50% Ultra Hold and 50% isopropyl alcohol. And I did fold it as Lynn's exposure said, instead of shaking it. But the bubbles did come out on their own, which is good. It's not white. Potentially there's a threshold at which it's too old and you cannot fix it anymore, but I don't know what that would be. This was still mostly good, right? It was becoming a bit cloggy, right, because it was getting near the bottom. But yeah, aside from that, it's fine. I don't know how old the glue can be. If you want to try to fix something, you just found it like crunched all the way to the top and it had just a little bit of air had seeped in and it was all screwed up. If you could potentially just, I don't know, slice the bottle in half and pull out this cylinder of old glue and just dunk it in some alcohol or something. I don't know if that'll work, I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, so just comparing colors. This one's still a bit wet, but not really. So that's almost the final color of the dyed one. And this is the color of the one I took off my head from earlier. Old and haggard. No, I'm talking about this, not me. But what I still didn't do, you see how I had to chop off the top edge? You can tell what the top edge is, the perimeter of this rather than the front hairline. If you can't figure that out, I can't help you. I'm not going to put this down so I can point, all right? One side, and it's not one of the long ends, one side is the hairline and the other side is the perimeter. Now I've chopped the perimeter out because the stencil is the wrong size. Even so, I still haven't changed my stencil. All I'd have to do to change my stencil is to trace this and just figure out where I should chop it flat. Because I wanted to make it symmetrical. That was the idea for my stencil, so that I could flip it around. If it's favoring a forward brush design, I could let it go forward. And if I wanted to spin around, it could go backwards. Now, realistically speaking, I could still keep this stencil if I shaved my shave zone further back in there, which is probably good practice for me to do that, actually. But I always hate removing extra bits and going back and back, but I hate doing that. But it would probably result in less problems. It's given that I've already chopped a whole year's supply to this exact shape, it's probably easier for me to just shave that bit of hair out rather than try to redo my stencil. Anyway, I'm gonna get this hair out of my area. I'm gonna smoosh it down. Okay. Now I shaved my scalp yesterday, so I'm not gonna bother doing that again. Yeah, this is step 6, I think. Okay, so I'm not gonna start here and go all the way up because that'll drag the glue. I'm gonna start up around here somewhere, and then from there I can smudge it. Right. Now I should anticipate some overhang, but it leads to problems. If you don't have a proper stencil cut out, it's your own fault. Like, there's overhang there now. I'm just going to bunch it down because I know that the hairline wants to be there. Yeah, so it really is the best way to do this, I think, to pre-glue. And like I said, you can pre-glue a whole bunch of hair pieces, so they're all ready to go. But I say, just avoid pre-gluing the front hairline. Do that separately. So this is from curvehairpiece.com. You can still see those cornfield lines in there, but at least it's medium density instead of medium light density, which is what those other ones are going to have to be like for a year. Because I'm in the red financially, like my bank account is negative, and I have no other money. But I'll get some money soon. Haven't checked my PayPal account, so I might have money in there. I think the reason it's in the red is because the electricity bill and gas bill and all sorts of things just came in direct debited all at once. Plus I bought that 3D printer, I'm still paying it with Afterpay, I think. Some other thing that I bought. Don't get addicted to Afterpay. I don't have a credit card, but Afterpay is sort of another dangerous one. Now this here seems like there's a bit of excess plastic. See that sweat beading down my cheek, down my side here? It means summer's coming. The hard times. Yeah, if you're somebody who wears a hairpiece, do you prefer summer or winter? Now, if you live in a climate where summer never gets above 20 degrees Celsius or 70 degrees Celsius, so 70 Fahrenheit, 20 Celsius, then you don't count. You're in a cold climate, right? So I'm talking about real summer, where it goes 35, 40 degrees. Even 25 degrees for me, I'm sweating like a pig. Okay, so this is my little tincture bottle. Watch how quickly and easily this goes on. I hope I don't jinx myself by splashing it all over myself, because that's one thing this can do. It can splash. Like, look how quickly that's flowing. It's just like water. It's dangerous. It'll drip as well. It really wants to drip, so be careful. I don't know if it's safer or not safer to have this up here with me. Above my eyes and my eyebrows and my eyelashes. A bit of a tragedy. I've never dripped glue into my eyes before, but I've never had glue this thin before either. So, I mean, I haven't shut my eyes properly when I've sprayed alcohol and some of that's gone in my eyes, but that's not really a problem. I mean, I think the human body naturally contains alcohol, doesn't it? Maybe it doesn't. Otherwise, you'd always have a reading and a breathalyzer. But, you know, the pH level in your body, isn't that to do with this acidity and alkalinity? I guess acidity is not the same as alcoholility. Alcoholility. I keep getting confused between alcohol and acid for some reason. I'm very uneducated about biology, and I don't really understand. I don't even know what all the organs are in the body. Sometimes somebody will say, oh yeah, you're such and such, your spleen must be damaged. It's like, what is a spleen? You know, I'm gonna go look up what a spleen is while this dries, because I'm nearly 50. I gotta, you know, it's now or never. I'll finish life, it'll be like, wait, I never found out what a spleen is. Right? Like my one life regret. Be nice to see what a picture of one looks like as well. Not that I really understand that tangle of spludge inside my torso. A lot going on in there. Just sitting in the darkness, all alone, sad. But it must get sunlight, right? If I do that, there must be sunlight penetrating my skin. And so my guts are getting some kind of, it's bright. Just put your shirt down, for fuck's sake. I don't know. I don't know what they're feeling. But I think mostly they're in darkness. But they're fine with it. Step 7. Cut your hair. What's the colour like? Does it match? Is it purple? Because when you get splashes of this stuff, it looks kind of purpley. So it's a bit concerning. Different, isn't it? Very different. Okay, so water. Long have I studied the accents of the main isle, Britannia. And I've noticed that water and water seem to be used by the same people with the same accent interchangeably. Is that right, Brits? Depends what mood you're in. It's like when you accentuate the T on the word cunt. That's more. What do you call it? Fucking hell. You can still see, it wasn't because of the way I dyed it, it was because of the way I bleached it. And I never got it quite right. There's still cornfield lines in there. Now people sometimes talk about plucking the front hairline. I mean, in this situation, I wouldn't pluck. There's this thing is, when you cut out a hairpiece, you're inevitably cutting the front edges off things. So to get rid of some of these, like those, that little grouping there, I could snip a bit of that out. You need scissors that have sharp tips as well. I don't know if I'm seeing things, but that does seem immediately better. But then there are straight lines all along through there as well. So I still haven't achieved a cornerless field yet. And look, it seems like I got some glue in these hairs as well. I don't know what that is. Is that an injury or is it a bit of red stuff? What is that? Can you see that red splotch? Seems to be stuck to the hairpiece, whatever it is. Yeah, these scissors are not that good. I need to go and get some 9-volt batteries for my microphone, so when I do that, not this microphone, I don't care about you guys, I don't do proper production here, although I should probably, because I see that some of my competitors, not that I really thought of them as competitors until just now, are getting like 9,000 views in a week or something. Well, they're definitely getting more than me. Now, of course, half of that's got to be put down to the fact that Americans generally don't like listening to anyone else's accents except their own. Most Americans. That's why when you watch an American movie, and every actor knows, you're not going to get a role in an American movie with your own native accent if you're not American. And even Americans from regions have to learn general American, which is what the American accent is called in the acting industry. General American accent. I can't remember what region it's based on. It's like regionless accent from America. Because obviously down south, they talk completely different from New York. Hey, I'm walking here. Would you like a cup of coffee? Very different accents throughout America. Not as numerous as the accents in Britain, of course. Britain has a huge amount of accents, and I can't even do them. That's just, it's too difficult. And if you want to start counting regions of Ireland, Wales, and Scotland as well, then I wonder how many people, I mean, you'd have to be from Britain at least to be able to do, let's say, 50 of them. There probably are 50 different accents. That's a lot. In Australia, we've just got my accent, which is a city accent, and then you got country accent. And there, everything else is just a variation of that. Like bogan, like, what are you fucking looking at, cunt? Is very similar to countryside accent, rural. And all these other kind of accents are just basically people who come from a family who speak a different language at home. Yeah, I think I could do every Australian accent. Even mostly, convincingly, people from a second language family. Because they're just speaking English in a clumsy kind of way, or with, you know, in the watered down way, so. But it's not as generic as I used to think. Like if you come from Mother Russia, you are less, it's not a generic, to fuck me in the balls now. To take advantage of something now. I'm going to buy this for you now. This is the happiest day of my life. It's very different from, and now I would like to buy you, and now. So, but the Germans who live in Australia, I mean, not that I know any really, but, and now, okay, I can't do every accent, I was lying. And now we take the pincers and we take off the tongue. But if you want to speak like Gunther von Hagen, I'm afraid you are not going to Dr. Jones. Like, you know, the quintessential German, that fucking guy who gets his face melted off in Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think that's what most people think of when they think of a German. Sorry, Germany, but maybe for the next 100 years or so, you're gonna have to live with that kind of reputation and be the bad guys in movies. And the weird thing about that German reputation that's persisted throughout my entire lifetime, mostly because of movies, it was all over before I was even born, and yet it still persists. So I think Germany really should work really hard to do something extremely kind for humanity so that they can surpass the memories of all the shit. You know, how would you ever get over a reputation, a multi-generational bad reputation? Like, even, can you imagine that you just did a, you know, standard argument with a German and they all of a sudden get a bit angry? They have immediately lost the fight. You know what I mean? You can't get angry as a German and not sound like Hitler. It's just like, it immediately springs to everyone's mind. Immediately. I'm just waiting for somebody to tell me off for saying what I just said. I don't hear nobody. Tell me off if you think I'm wrong. I mean, I acknowledge that most of the people who we speak with who are from Germany are not Hitler. I know that. They probably weren't even Nazis. They might even be against Nazis. They might even actually be Jewish and still speak with a German accent. They'd have to spell that out very clearly. I'm not a Nazi, I am Jewish. I've never liked Hitler. I do not like him. It's weird, isn't it? Imagine somebody who looked exactly like Hitler. The good thing about Hitler is, I mean, even if Hitler went with a razor, he might have escaped. Because, I mean, who would think of what Hitler looks like without his little mustache? I mean, in the final days when you were on the run, I mean, you reckon he just like kept his mustache on his face? Even when he was hiding in that bunker? Just in case you get caught, you'd go, no, I'm gonna shave this shit off. There's no way I'm gonna get away with this. Maybe they will think I am Charlie Chaplin. So what was the deal? Did Hitler love Charlie Chaplin and that's why he copied the mustache? I mean, I understand he was all into symbolism and stuff. He stole the swastika from it was like one of the prayer symbols from Buddhism or something, but he put it on an angle instead of, maybe twisted it so it was spinning the wrong way or something. And then the mustache was another part of the symbolism. He was right though. It was very good marketing. Very good. And he was an artist as well. So I don't know how good his artwork was, but it all comes from writing a book. So if you want to be a dictator, I think one of the first things you need to do is write a book. Not that I'm saying everyone who writes books becomes a dictator, but you can become one. You're in the group now. You're in the club. You can become a dictator now if you want to. If you're an author. This hair seems extremely long for the short haircut that I've got everywhere else. I generally end up cutting it a bit shorter over the next couple of days that follow. Hopefully the hairline is perfect. Step 7 was the final step, I think. Style might be the 8th step, but you do that every day anyway, right? Okay, so might as well wet the rest of my head so it doesn't look odd. So, you know that injection hair that I had on last episode, or the one before? I could have done the same sort of style with this hair as I could do with that hair. So you don't need injection hair for anything, from what I see. And you certainly can't brush it back. You could have it forced straight back without any lift whatsoever. Yeah, this is a better color match, isn't it? Which hair product should I use? I'll try this matte gel. Can't remember why I don't like this. Usually I don't like hair products. Most of them I don't like. Let's see how this goes. This is wet enough, I don't even need to have done that. Probably should have put it through dry hair actually. It's gel. Despite my complaint about cornfield lines, I really don't think that most people would be able to tell that this isn't real. One thing that always confuses me about brushing the hair is I get to this point back here and then I want to keep brushing back, but then it needs to sort of want to go that way to conform with the shape of the head. So maybe I just need to pat it down or something. I haven't quite figured out what to do with the back crown area. But I suppose everyone's hair grows a little bit differently around that area. Yeah, this isn't bad. So there you go, that disproves the last guy who said I moan all the time. I'm quite pleased with this one. That could be neatened up a bit. .3mm guard. It's quiet again. It's good. No, let's leave that. Yeah, this is the healthiest I've kind of looked in a while, I think, because I think the hair is darker. I really got to be careful not to get the wrong color, because this is the last color I just took off my head, right? That's completely different. I mean, I know this is wet, but if I wet this one as well, because this isn't going to dry the one I'm wearing. There you go, that's wet. See? It's getting darker, but still very different color. I feel good about chucking this out now. Even though I've only got it. It's not completely done for though, right? And I did say I was going to convert this into, well, what I was going to do is modify my stencil size, because I've been using the wrong stencil size for quite a while. But I do have the idea of, you know, cutting that back. But the likelihood of me cutting that back, given I'm scared to do that, it's just a low likelihood. So what I'm going to do instead is modify this stencil, which basically means just cutting off the edge there. So the way to do that, let's get this corner here. This other corner. That to the edge. Now I can see how much to cut off along there, so I'll do that now. I also need to make it clear to myself that this is a flatter side. Hopefully it'll be obvious that that's the hairline side, because that probably won't make it, well, it'll be backwards if I do that. I should probably just cut that flat, just so. Right. Now I can throw this out, I think. Now I sort of need to buy more hair pieces. I do have a year supply, like I said, but they are low density. So that's it. Step 8 complete. Style the hair. Done. I'm ready to start my day. What should I do? Well, I'm working on a script at the moment, so I can take over the world. But also, I should go get the batteries. And what was the other thing you told me I had to get? Did I say it? Did you say it or did I say it? I can't remember.